In middle school, I started to wake up sad. I didn't know why or when it would happen, but by high school, I stopped wanting to wake up at all. I used to tell myself each morning that things will be better, then beat myself up at night for being a liar when they weren't. I started to count down the days until I died when I realized how slowly death would come, how my hands shook like my voice still sometimes does. I learned then to be depressed is to slowly suffocate on your own silence. It is speaking yourself back to life, even when your tongue is tied in the shape of a noose. When I was 17, I was raped by a boy who inhaled my timid desires and breathed back the stench of my fear. Afterwards, he held me, and we fell asleep outside beneath the night sky. His eyes, they twinkled like the stars, and the tender way he held me convinced me that the nighttime must have swallowed my no instead of the darkness inside of him. The next morning, when I left without a word, I realized to be woman and depressed is to each day have silence enter your body without consent. And there it remains throughout the day, uninvited into these bones you call house, trying each day to claim it as home. I moved to New Orleans when I was 18 years old. I was a walking corpse whose life felt like an open casket funeral that no one bothered to show up for. I just left a hospital where each day I was reminded that help for this kind of sadness was reserved for those whose skin matched the powder and privilege that got them there in the first place. I remember once, a pair of blue eyes with a sharp tongue asked me if my family could even afford to keep me in a place like this. I'll never forget how her lips curled into a smile when I left because they couldn't. As I walked out, I remembered to be black and depressed is to literally not be able to afford to stay alive and that be exactly the way they want it. It is remaining silent about your hurt because you don't know how to say that you sometimes want to die when so many who look like you don't get to live. It is knowing when you say Black Lives Matter, you sometimes don't include yourself in that number. It is knowing that either way your days are numbered, but sometimes your countdown is the loudest. When I was 22, I went back home to Kenya and I swear I could not breathe the air. Everywhere I went, the stench of sadness followed. I convinced myself that people could smell it seeping from my skin. It took me a while to realize that the smell was not my own, that it filled the streets of Nairobi long before I got there, would remain on the shamba long after I left. See, one day I realized that my kinfolk, we were a dying forest. So many of us had grown to be lumberjacks, to cut down the trunks that we branched from. Each day, our sadness sharpening our blades while our silence sapped over the wounds we never spoke of. That trip, I learned to be African, an immigrant, and depressed is to see your sadness as an import. Another thing that has colonized your body and your mind. A machete you've been told has missed your family tree even though its handle is made from your bark. It is having others see poverty, violence, addiction, and disease as defining your culture. It is never speaking on these things no matter how true they do not define your culture. It is a shame you feel thinking your grandmother survived a civil war with less tears than you cried this month and not having the language of your lineage to ask her. It is each morning waking up and finding yourself on foreign soil in your own body, a border to your own being.